Radio 1 FM 90.
Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond Kizito. In Spectrum tonight, the motor vehicle scandal at the URA. What measures has the tax body taken to deal with this matter? Could this be a symptom of deeper tax management problems? Recently, a scam was unearthed at the Uganda Revenue Authority through which billions of shillings were being lost through the undetected illegal clearance of motor vehicles. It was established that some vehicles cleared by URA had counterfeit logbooks and that number plates that have been issued belong to vehicles which were previously cleared by the same body. This development has led to fears within the public that after all, URA may not be free from corruption and outright theft. Recently, URA lost up to 2 billion shillings after its computer network was hacked into, allowing some illegal truncations to run through the system. Members of the public wonder how a computerized process can accommodate such flaws that have led to large losses of taxpayers' money. In response, URA has embarked on a process to verify all vehicles in the country, and with the help of police, they will impound all vehicles whose details will not have been verified. Some vehicle owners and dealers are opposing this campaign though, saying URA should take responsibility for the mess, since its own staff colluded with some car dealers and clearing firms to carry out the scam. Other players have welcomed the URA effort, but point to the fact that there could be other people involved in tax evasion, a place where URA should also focus on to maximize revenue collection. In Parliament, Kampala Central MP Muhammad Nsereko and Keterera County MP Hatwib Katoto have launched a campaign to mobilize owners of vehicles to shun efforts by the URA. So tonight we look at how this scam has happened, what loss it caused, and the measures being taken to curtail a repeat and any other cases of impropriety that are likely to happen at the tax body. Our guests tonight, Mr. Patrick Mukiibi, Commissioner in charge of tax investigations. You're most welcome, Mr. Mukiibi.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners.
We're also joined by Mr. Isaac Kayemba, Manager in charge of tax investigations. You're most welcome, Mr. Kayemba.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners.
And Mr. Apollo Lugwama, Supervisor, Process Management, Domestic Taxes Department. You're most welcome, Mr. Lugwama.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners.
Mr. Mukiibi, all is not well at the URA. What is the problem?
Thank you, Edmond. I think it's not fair to say all is not well, and not to allow the fears of the public that all is well at the tax authority. It is important for us to look at this in the actual perspective. Every system comes to a point where it can be faulted, and this happens usually when people study a system and purpose to compromise it. So we used to have a motor vehicle registration system that we are calling MOVIS. That was our motor vehicle registration system. So when you cleared through customs, the point at which you would pay or you would register your vehicle and then get a logbook was through this system. So now, some wise Ugandans studied this system and decided they would compromise it. Now, of course, every system has its safeguards, and therefore, when it is triggered, or if you can tell that the system is not operating the way it was structured to, then we will send out signals, and there are red flags. The red flag goes up, and then, of course, remedial action is taken. So what happened in the motor vehicle system is that we had people who hacked into our system and caused registrations of vehicles that were or that had not paid taxes. So when we discovered this, we worked round the clock to rectify it, and we have done a lot to remedy it. We have identified the kind of vehicles in our system that cannot be matched with payments of taxes, and we have called upon vehicle owners to come and establish the authenticity of the documentation that they have vis-a-vis what we have in our system, or what our system is reading. And we had quite a number coming up, and where the mistake was as a result of our staff's, whether it was an omission or commission, we were able to rectify it. Where the problem was squarely with the taxpayer or the client, we were able to address it as such, advise them on what to do, and ultimately we've had those who were paying taxes for the right taxes for the cars, but also, as it were, we've also had to go after the perpetrators of the fraudulent act, and we've had quite a number of them charged in the courts of law, and this we have done on the premise of fairness and equity as canons in taxation. Because if you are on the road and you have paid your taxes, you have paid your dues, you imported your car, it is only fair that whoever is utilizing any other service, any other amenity that government has provided, has also paid for the same. If they haven't, then you have to cause them to pay. The question will be, supposing I am a third party and I'm not aware that whoever I used as a broker, as a middleman, as an agent, was actually involved in fraudulent action. Still, all is not lost. We asked you to come over to our offices, explain to you what happened, because the principle remains the same. The car is on the road without having cleared its dues. So we explained to you. The difference here is that the moment we can delink you from the fraud, and which our people have been ably doing, if you're an innocent person, the facts will speak for themselves. I'm the second, third, fourth owner. I do not even know what happened with the interface with URA. I have good title without notice, and there's nothing that I did that compromised the system. I can assure you, we will give you the vehicle after payment of the due taxes. Of course, you are at liberty to take on the person who fleeced you, the agent or whoever, but we don't stop at that. We continue to the point of the person who has actually interfacing with URA or who was involved in this act. So we have rectified it. We have largely rectified it. Now we have an online system, because had we done this without also being foresighted, then there would have been cause for alarm, but the public should not be alarmed, because now in order for you to migrate onto the new online system, you must have clean records. So because we have something in there to safeguard the clean ones who will be migrating, there is no worry about this recurring. It cannot recur.
All right, we'll talk about the new system, but first of all, let's get it clear. Some people hacked into your system, which can happen anywhere else. They've done it. They've hacked into the State House website. They hacked into your system because they deal with money. They collected taxes on your behalf, colluding with some people. Simply put, is that what happened?
They did.
So let's get it clear. Some people knew what they were doing when they paid these guys money. They knew they were paying taxes to the wrong person and getting a counterfeit certificate. I
can't rule that out. We have situations where somebody pays for a Land Cruiser 2010.
As well as paying for a Volkswagen.
Exactly. And you pay 10, 20 million. I mean, what kind of, what kind of golden opportunities?
So they knew what they were doing.
I would imagine that in certain instances they did know.
Do you think some people did it without knowing?
I believe that, you see, the actions speak louder. So if you did, for instance, in a situation where you're paying for a car that would ordinarily attract 200 million worth of tax, for an example, and you paid 10% of that, and it still goes for a new car coming into this country for the first time, you probably want to ask the major question, or the mega question: where are you getting this car from? What kind of taxation regime are you using? And if the agent is unable to explain, give you satisfactory answers, I think the onus is on you to quiz further and reach the tax authority on that.
Listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. The motor vehicle scandal at the URA. What measures has the tax body taken to deal with this matter? Could this be a symptom of deeper tax management problems? Our guests tonight, Mr. Patrick Mukiibi, Commissioner in charge of tax investigations, Mr. Isaac Kayemba, Manager tax investigations, and Mr. Apple Luwama, the Supervisor process management in the domestic taxes department. You will be able to contribute to this discussion. Mr. Kayemba, talk to us about this new system. Exactly how does it work?
Right. The new system is largely, for starters, going to address some of the flaws that were in the old system, which was let me say, played around with by some external people, many of whom we have already apprehended. The workings of the new system, it is basically online registration. The owners of the motor vehicles will do much of the registration themselves online. They just log on to the URA web portal, and it is pretty much self-explanatory, because we've done quite a lot of sensitization, and even if you went to the portal itself, you'll find that all the instructions are pretty well defined.
All right. So let's make it. If someone didn't go, well, if they find it's too complicated, they can go to any internet cafe, ask the attendant who speaks English to do it, and it's as simple as that for them.
Pretty much.
All right. Let's look at someone in the past. People we were used to physical logbooks, green or pink, whatever color.
Yeah.
And you have it there, and when you have it, you have the car.
Yeah.
Right now, you're going to have numbers inside a computer, and you have a printout, and you have the logbook.
Yes.
So what happens if someone makes a mistake as a key in these details? What happens? Chassis number. What happens? It comes into your system and it's faulty.
Well, there are already checks and balances. It is not entirely left to you to enter that information, and then you print out and you home and dry. There are validation processes and procedures. People internally within URA will be able to view what you have actually done. They will validate, and the whole process is concluded on our side as URA.
Talking about process, let this man talk to us. Apollo Luwama, your supervisor, process management. How exactly does it happen? This man keys or woman keys in their details. What happens inside of your rooms where we cannot see you?
Thank you, Edmond. Like what Isaac has just explained, what will happen is you can walk into any URA, any cafe, internet cafe.
Even at home on your laptop.
Or at home on your laptop, on your mobile phone. These people who have smartphones. You access ura.go.ug. What happens is the process begins with the person who has a TIN.
You have to have a tax identification number.
You have to have a tax identification
How do you get that
number.
very quickly?
Now, still you'd have to go to the same website, ura.go.ug, and download an application, fill it in, and submit it.
Is it online or you fax?
It's also online. You submit it online. Then you will be notified through an email notification.
How long does that take?
It takes 24 hours.
Within 1 day?
Within 1 day, you'll have your TIN, provided you've met all the terms and conditions that are set out. Now, some of the terms and conditions, you have to submit a hard copy of this submitted online form, which is duly signed by the person who is applying. You have to attach 2 photocopies of your identification documents, say voter's card and an employee ID. And when you bring those things inside our office, we shall duly process this TIN, approve it, and you'll have your TIN, and you'll be good to go. Now, when you have this TIN, for each and every person who has a TIN, we've created for them a tax account, what we call a TIN account. So the whole process begins in this TIN account, like what Isaac has said. You go in, log in, do that validation, you upload it and submit it. Then on our end in URA, what happens is we are going to be validating this information that you've sent to us with our physical files, because each and every car that is in Uganda has a physical file with URA.
The logbook that you have in your pocket is parallel at the URA?
Yes, it's parallel with what is in URA. So we shall validate it based on that, and if it passes all the criteria that we've set in our processes, then we shall put it on the new system and we shall give you a new logbook.
As simple as that.
As simple as that.
So what format does that logbook take? Is it like the famous ID? Does it look like something flashy like that? What does it look like physically?
Now that logbook is pretty much simpler than the green logbooks that we've been very much used to.
How simpler?
It's plain A4 paper,
black and white.
Black and white.
No glittering surface.
No glittering surface. No photographs.
No seal.
No seal. No stamps. Of course, some of our officers and some of our officers have been stamping these logbooks, but with the URA stamp. But it's not so much value adding, because in the new process, in the new system, we are insisting on the e-value.
Electronic stuff.
Yes, we are insisting on an e-value for this logbook. That's why we are putting it on that much simpler paper.
Well, but some MPs, Mr. Mchief, some members of parliament say, you can't tell me I have a car logbook and I only have a plain sheet of paper. How do you explain to such people?
You see, not only members of parliament. I've received several calls, and somebody is telling you that we used to own this kind of hard paper, this kind of logbook, and now when I get to your offices, I'm given an A4 printout. So I asked them one very pertinent question: who provided those logbooks that you owned?
URA.
URA. It is the very URA that is telling you that I need that logbook, and in exchange I'm giving you this acknowledgement for you to be in the system, to be sure that you are in our system, duly validated. Please take this. And you're complaining about the same. The value that we are attaching to that piece of paper
It's the same.
is the same. In fact, it is even higher, because the previous one was prone to forgery, was prone to manipulation. So you could have, we've had so many cases of people holding or being in possession of that green logbook, but actually it is not authentic.
It was made at a certain street.
Exactly, it is forged. Its particulars are not matching with the car you're driving. So is it better that you hold that one because it's hard in surface, as opposed to what you are?
You can't feel it. If you're a normal man, you say, have my car.
So I believe, and I would like to appeal to the public to trust URA. The reason why we decided to unearth, because this motor vehicle fraud, as it's called, was unearthed by URA itself. The reason why we went into it full swing and said we have to leave no stone unturned was to offer our taxpayers a level of confidence in our systems. And we're saying, trust us. So if we come out with a print and say, hold this is value for you, trust that we have validated it and that it can pass the test of time for all intent and purposes. And so you should not get worried that what you're holding can be, will not pass the test of time. No, it won't.
It's probably the way of the world. Someone in the US was complaining that I earn my money and I never get to touch it because it's all on a plastic card. It's an attitude of the mind. Let's talk about something else. Validation. How do you validate this? Someone wants to borrow money against that logbook. They want to sell it. How do you validate it? How do you know it's the real thing? If someone presented it to you.
Thank you, Edmond. If someone presented to you that logbook and he wanted some money in using this logbook as security, what happens is URA has provided for that. And like this person would come and endorse his interests in this car with URA. Of course, like Edmond, if I'm borrowing money from you and I'm presenting this logbook for my
security
as security or as collateral, what will happen is Edmond, you'd be required to first of all come to URA and present this agreement that you've done with this person. And after presenting that agreement, we look at it and we
If we see it fit, you've paid stamp duty on this agreement, then we shall endorse your interests in this car. Now, that endorsement process is what is replacing what we've been calling the caveat process, placing a caveat in these logbooks that we've been having, because in these ones that we've been having, we've been stamping in those logbooks, and like you know, like if you get multiple loans, you'll have multiple stamps in that logbook. Now in the new process, what we've done is whenever you endorse, we withdraw the other old logbook and we issue a new logbook that has been endorsed by the other third party who has given you money. So in so doing, you cannot sell or transfer this vehicle to another party without either party.
Let's get it clear. The current system, when someone wants to borrow money against a logbook, they have to bring it to URA. Is that what happens?
Yes.
And you stamp it?
Yes, and we stamp it.
To validate that?
Yes.
So the person is not going to be, very different. They'll still come to URA like they've been coming to
yes.
URA.
But there's a value addition. The value addition is that if I am going to buy a car from you, I don't have to go to URA to validate or to check on the authenticity of this car.
You do it online.
I just go online, I have my TIN, and I check whether that vehicle that you want to sell to me is actually registered with URA. So once I'm comfortable with that, then I go into, I can go into the selling and the buying transaction. Then now that is a value addition, because before you could have to, you had to walk into URA's premises. That's one. But also the validation when you walked into there was going to take you some time. One, but two, even when you came out, you were not very sure that is. Those were the particulars you had. Yeah, because there were several mismatches, and you could not be 100% sure that you have it right.
All right, let's get a little clarity on this. The document that you give, what exactly does it look like? And I would like you to explain to us, when someone borrows money, do you stamp it so you have a physical document that represents the old logbook? Let's get that clarity.
Okay, what happens is the document that we give when you endorse, it's actually the logbook. What we've done in the new process is for each and every transaction that is taken on this motor vehicle, if you've altered, if you're getting it, if you're using it as security, URA withdraws the old logbook that you had, and it issues you with a new logbook where you've made alterations, where you've made, if you've made endorsements, like in this case, you've gone to a bank and the bank has endorsed its interest, it has given you money against this vehicle. So what will happen is URA will withdraw the other logbook that never had any endorsements. Now, instead of stamping, we are putting the particulars of this third party into this logbook, and we shall issue you a logbook with the other third. There is a section in the logbook that we've created for endorsements.
So it is still a physical piece. It's not like an air ticket that I can print out at my own home.
Exactly. It's not.
Still a physical document.
Yes, it's still a physical document.
Is it possible for you to enter the key in those details so I can print it out from wherever I might be?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. You see now, Edmond, the difference there is that even if I, who borrowed from you, wanted to sell that vehicle, remember I stay with a vehicle, the bank stays with a piece of paper. But if I wanted to sell that vehicle to another party,
yes,
let's say Patrick now can come to the system, URA system, just to check and confirm whether I am actually the owner. So Patrick will be able to see that this vehicle is actually lodged as security in a certain bank or by Edmond. So you will certainly not be able to transact.
Listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio. I'm not going for a break. We'll be back.
So unbelievable na yatenga byaddala tekibadde ize yajja n'akamu bendera waggulu bulaka tuli beautiful yero wakasana kafenga kasupu ready brotherhood eyatero bwetugatta
Tuchakale with Airtel today and celebrate 50 years of independence. Get up to 100% bonus to call across all networks. That's not all. Stand a chance to win a motorbike daily and a car every week. Simply top up every day. Get up to 100% bonus. Dial *162#. Press yes or OK. Start the 50 years independence celebration of Uganda today with Tuchakale from Airtel.
John, Mike and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He is just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special. You've earned it.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
They committed their own errors and they must own them. If they are challenging legality of any vehicle that is moving on the road, they can go to court, but not randomly impounding people's vehicles and cycles and telling them to produce the first registered owners of those properties and telling them to show how those owners paid taxes to Uganda Revenue Authority, including income tax and other taxes. Ugandans are sick and tired of you people siphoning money from them. So I implore all Ugandans not to take their cards to Uganda Revenue Authority, because we've seen they are trying to hoodwink us. They are doing e-payment of taxes. Imagine how someone in Kabale with no power, or in Karamoja with no power, how many people are computer literate? How many people even do have access to internet? How expensive is it even to use that internet? And how do I know whether the person selling to me this vehicle paid taxes or not without notice of your fraud you've been committing in the Uganda Revenue Authority? So you're making people pay taxes retrospectively. This is unacceptable. I'm calling upon a meeting of all vehicle owners in Kampala. We shall not sit on the fence and allow this form of extortion from the Uganda Revenue Authority.
Welcome back. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight, the motor vehicle scandal at URA. What measures has the tax body taken to deal with this matter? Could this be a symptom of deeper tax management problems? Our guest, Mr. Patrick Mukiibi, Commissioner in charge of tax investigations, Mr. Isaac Kayemba, Manager tax investigations, and Mr. Apollo Lubuama, Supervisor process management in the domestic taxes department. You will be able to contribute, but you've just been hearing from Mr. Honorable Muhammad Nsereko, Member of Parliament for Kampala Central, who has opposed the URA car registration campaign. We've just had, Mr. Mukiibi, how valid are those arguments that is raising?
Well, I've had Honorable Nsereko, and I've had it before. I've had that soundbite before. And maybe what I should say, because he's saying he's calling upon vehicle owners and he's calling them for a meeting. I think that will also give us a good forum for sensitization. If we call the vehicle owners, it would give us a very good platform. My advice here would be that we sensitize the vehicle owners so that they can know the benefits out of registering online. So much has been said about URA taking responsibility. Maybe even online registration is taking responsibility, because here we are obligated to ensure that the public has confidence in the systems that are run by any government institution. We have done our best to put in place one that secures their property, their asset. And we are saying that let's move from one system that was originally good enough but has been compromised. Let's migrate to one that we believe currently, at least as per now, we believe is very secure. When it comes to asking you to come and validate your vehicles or come and give us your logbooks, and because we cannot trace your payment in the system, I think it's only fair that you do so. Why? Because this is an asset. A vehicle is like land. In Uganda, you parted with money. We have those who parted with hundreds of millions of money to pay for these vehicles. And if I want to validate your ownership of that vehicle, it it's in your interest that you do so. You just, all you have to do is to come, check with our records, and then we advise you. Wouldn't it be good for you, Edmond, to know whether you actually own that car, whether the transaction that you had a few months ago with whoever it was that you had it with was an authentic one, whether it was recorded in our records. Wouldn't you want to know? I don't see anything wrong with you coming to verify that. I would actually see everything wrong for you to sit back and assume that all is well, and then you are hit like, it comes down on you like a ton of bricks. Right. But I parted with 300 million, but I actually did not buy anything. So we are trying. For me, in my opinion, I believe the notices that we put in the papers, they were actually courteous. And even the treatment of the clients as they come to us, because we go out of our way to assist you come to terms with this and also look for the original person. Because we say, okay, we need to know who interfaced with us. Of course, on our system, we can tell the agents, but we have those transactions that did not go through our system at all. So it's between you and the person who sold to you that car, who know the origin of that car, who know what the transaction was like, and the content. So we tell you, can you help us understand this transaction? And we have worked with all vehicle owners who have come to us at minimum inconvenience to them to ensure that we get to the root of the problem.
Mr. Kayemba, is there a deadline? How long is this process likely to take? It's kicked off on the 1st of July. How long is it going to go on?
It actually kicked off on the 14th of May, around mid-May.
Mid-May? But you launched it only recently.
No, the online.
Yes.
The online is going to be. It's the new thing. It's the new thing.
Yes.
Yeah, people are going to keep on buying vehicles.
How long? I mean, you have a backlog of old vehicles that are going to replace the cardboard, the logbox.
Yeah, but I think it has been given a period of 1 year.
Yes.
Of 1 year for the old vehicles. But thereafter, it's the new thing. It's the new thing. We're not turning back. We shall continue with it.
So if someone has forgotten, if someone is in Kawale where there's no electricity, like the MP was saying, what do? They lose that vehicle. They come and give it to you. No. After the lapse of the period.
Not really. You see, there's always we have offices.
Yes.
We have offices all over the country. Geographically, I think we are well distributed in the country.
Really?
So you don't really need to come to Kampala or look for an internet cafe. You can always go to URA offices and be assisted from that point. Yes.
People who are well motivated. Mr. Apple Lugwama, let's talk about the fraud again. How many members of your staff have been involved? URA people colluding with outsiders.
Let me help Apple on that one. You see, in any investigation, they tell you that it takes two to tango. Those are the arguments I've been hearing out there. Now, whenever and wherever that came to pass, where it takes two to tango, we have put our staff also on spot, and our investigations are dual. It's both the external person, and if he at all obtained any aid from our staff, then our staff, those who have been implicated. Actually, we have disciplined some of them over time. And as we go on, because the investigation is wide and the disciplining I'm talking about takes many forms. It comes from caution.
No lunch for 3 weeks. If it's
No.
300 million.
No. I
I
happen to chair the disciplinary committee of URA. So our disciplinary committee's sanctions are one. It can be a caution depending on what kind of
if it's
offense.
Below 100 million stolen.
No. Any revenue loss is not caution. Any revenue loss, we start from suspension if it can be reasonably adduced that this was a mistake, a genuine human error. It can be a suspension, it can be a termination, and gross misconduct, of course, will fetch you a dismissal with disgrace. So we'll have disciplined our staff over time. Those have been proven to be part of it. We will discipline anyone who is proven through the investigations process to be part of this scam. And not only this, motor vehicle is just one of the areas. Anything that is not in conformity with our procedures, our system, and our code of conduct is dealt with accordingly.
You don't forgive them. In some places, people steal money, they are forgiven. You don't have a forgiving heart. Why don't you forgive some of these thieves at URA?
Well,
maybe you don't want to comment. Let's talk about something else, Mr. Mukiibi. You recall some vehicles to URA. What has happened? What would happen to those which vehicles are not brought back to your yards?
No, of course. It's in everybody's interest, every vehicle owner's interest, to have that vehicle come back to us for verification, because we can cause you unnecessary embarrassment in case we intercepted the vehicle on the road, because as I speak, whoever is responsible in this country for interceptions, for any kind of alert, security or otherwise, has your motor vehicle registration number on their radar.
Waiting.
Yeah, on their radar. So it's very important that you bring your vehicle, because you probably will be pleasantly surprised that it just takes a clearance, that maybe it is not as you thought it would be. But if you have genuinely, if you made a mistake and you know that there was a mistake committed, please come with that vehicle. It has happened for others, and it can also happen. We will also deal with you accordingly.
And what kind of vehicles did you recall, very briefly?
There are really high value end vehicles, the kind of vehicles that are attract the
Kayemba and so on.
There are these vehicles that entice or give the attraction of evading taxes, that have the high amounts in payment. We've not come across, or at least not that much, vehicles that are low value end. Yeah, it's those vehicles that are paying lots of money, and somebody thinks, oh, why should I be doing that? Let me pay. So it's a wide range, from Land Cruisers to the Prados to the high value end vehicles are the ones that are most affected.
And the luxury vehicles attract a 100% taxes. Is that still the case?
No.
Some go higher than 100%.
No. Actually, if your vehicle is not, if your vehicle is not 8+ years, you will attract about 54%.
Oh, really?
Yes, if you imported a vehicle, because we will charge the 25% because it is outside the community. We will charge you the 6%, the withholding, which ideally, if you're a registered person, is and then we will charge you the VAT, the 18. Yeah.
It's not for luxury vehicles. It's not. Yeah. It's not 100%.
So it's not. But of course, no. It's. I don't know. I don't know whether it would actually deem it prohibitive, but it's not as high as
100%
as you believe. No, it is not.
Let's talk about the extent of protection. Maybe someone from the systems can talk to us. The protection. What kind of protection do you have? Is money safe? Somebody could wake up and they say they've taken 300 billion from URA, by clicking the computer. What kind of protection do you have? Passwords have not worked very well. Do you have firewalls? What kind of protection?
We've used some of the best tested protection mechanisms that the world has got in our new system that we've built.
Like the White House uses? Talk to us, Pentagon?
Something like that, something of a sort. So, we believe that the data of our clients, the information of our clients that we hold as URA is very highly secured in very high end using very high end techniques and equipment.
And how much money did we lose through this scam? These men sitting outside of your offices with their laptops and hacking into your systems and paying taxes to themselves. How much money was lost?
Well, the loss, for you to come to the actual value of the loss, there are quite a number of issues that you will need to put into consideration. But maybe roughly, if someone is to look at the vehicles that we have recalled, remember, not all of them will have those tax problems, as in they never pay the taxes, because once a person comes, they can't prove otherwise, and you find that the problem was probably in a small thing somewhere in the process which wasn't right, but the taxes were paid. So it wouldn't really be so fair for us to sum up everything and come up with a figure and say that this is how much we've lost in as far as taxes are concerned.
And someone would ask, how? Yes.
And maybe just to add to that, we're still progressing with the investigations.
Right.
It will surprise you to observe that even as we speak, on a daily basis, we discover other vehicles. We discover either through the online registration or through those who are coming to, they actually report that so and so, so and so. So even those who are not on our radar are coming onto our radar one by one.
Right.
So it's much bigger. And I should also add that it's a subject of court. We are in the different courts of law, and there are different revenue loss tags.
Right.
On each one of these people that we have taken.
Let's hear from the listeners. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight, the motor vehicle scandal at the URA. What measures has the tax body taken to deal with this matter? You can call in now, 0414-348-111. 031-226-0390, 031-226-1390. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from, and switch off your radio. Spectrum, yes? Yes, sir, your name?
Please forgive you. Jimmy, I want your guest.
Jimmy, you might have to call back and explain that. I don't think our people have got it. Spectrum, hello? Good evening, sir. Your name? Jimmy, I'll ask you to call back and explain what you asked. Yes, sir. Spectrum, hello?
Good evening, sir. My name is Paul.
Yes, Paul. All right, Spectrum, hello? Yes, sir, your name?
My name is Noah.
Noah, go on. Now we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah,
Spectrum, hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name? Very well, thanks. Your name, sir?
I'm called Charles.
Charles. Spectrum, hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good Yes. All right, let's get back. Okay, one final caller. Spectrum, hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name?
Good evening.
Good evening, your name?
Ivan. Two issues.
All right, Mr. Mukiibi.
Okay. We're going to attempt to answer all of them. Let's start with the last one. The gentleman, I appreciate on behalf of URA your appreciation of the investment in this area. Now, I need to emphasize and maybe re-echo what the last caller said, that for reasons even beyond revenue, it is very important to secure and account for all vehicles in this country. Name any other reason, whether security or otherwise, if somebody can be able to travel in a car that cannot be traced by the authorities concerned, that i.e. URA, the person's registration is fake, misleading, the person can involve themselves in any activity and you will not trust them. And that's government's interest in the motor vehicle registration process. Now, when you say that, why not make an investment in registering small businesses? Yes. We are actually registering those businesses as well. However, the question would have been, how did you prioritize it? The motor vehicles alone, motor vehicle industry, yes, is our second largest revenue earner.
Yes.
Yes. In addition to what I alluded to earlier, the other reasons, security and otherwise, that require that we account for these vehicles. It's a cash cow for us. And if it is for us, it is for the Ugandans, because this is not our money.
They do that roads.
Exactly.
We know that very well.
Now, the gentleman who said, if the system was tampered with, that calls for an investigation, and that is what we do. And I explained earlier that to the extent that we can delink you from this fraud, we will not go after you. However, we will decide on who is this person who actually tampered with our system. Be it staff, be it an external person, they have to pay for that crime.
Overvaluation.
We could
Apollo, talk to us. The man buys a car at 4,000 after saving month on month. Then you charge them 7,000. You're making life impossible for them. Where should they go? Talk to us.
Okay, thank you. A man buys a vehicle at $4,000 and he's charged $7,000. Who is cheating the public? Now, URA has different valuation methods, and according to, I think it was Owen who raised this issue. What happens is, like, URA stopped charging taxes using what we call method 1, or the invoice-based method. So, like, we have a certain database that we base on to charge these taxes, and I think Mr. Were needs to be explained to in detail.
No, but that's a complaint that keeps coming up. In the past, you charged against the invoice. Now you guess. Some people think you guess. Why don't you publish these rates like you publish the forex rates every?
No, it's not actually guessing, and this.
Maybe let me help Apollo on that one. In the interest of time, there's a history to this. Before May 2010, we had all kinds of invoices that were supporting that transaction method. So you come in and you produce the invoice from here. You all know that this country does not produce cars, and that is what you present to URA. And what else? Remember, the customs law.
Produced only one car to Makere, but you can't.
So at the end of the day, our place was awash with invoices that were actually not authentic. So a decision was taken then that for second-hand vehicles, and this is in line with actually the GATT valuation.
The General Agreement on Trade and Tourism.
Exactly. That you are not allowed to use that first method. So we said, now, what can we do? What's the alternative? If Edmond has brought in a car, and I bring in the car, and it has the fundamentals are similar, that is where you have bought the car, the period in which you bought the car, the kind of car you're buying, they're all similar. But you're giving me a value of 4,000, another person is giving me a value of 1,000. I think as a tax authority, I have cause to question that. So we look at that. We look at the market rates, we do market surveys, and we publish, we don't guess, we publish these value guidelines for motor vehicles now and again. In fact, now that time we used to do it rarely, now we do it quite often.
Often, every 2 years?
No, not every 2 years. Actually, whenever a car comes in and we have to check the market and include it on our database, we'll publish it. We'll do it. Now, I think before we close, there's a gentleman, Charles. He talked about URA officers. He talked about enforcement officers that do things with impunity. Now, I'd like to, I think, this is to allay your fears, Charles, that everything is done in URA. We have a process, a disciplinary process, and that we don't merely punish officers out of a wild rumor or out of anything that has not been proven to be right. We check it, we investigate it, and we punish. Nobody goes scot-free. We punish whoever has been involved in an act that is not allowed by our rules.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick Mukiibi, Commissioner in charge of Tax Investigations. Thank you very much for coming over tonight. Mr. Isaac Kayemba, Manager Tax Investigations, and Mr. Apollo Lubama, Supervisor Process Management, Domestic Taxes Department. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news.
You can pay, you can buy, pay your bill.